Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers. Welcome to the new series of Productivity Talks by Asian Productivity Organization. I'm Gözde Bosnalı from APO Secretariat and today's moderator. APO is an international organization committed to improving productivity in the Asia-Pacific region. APO Productivity Talks are a platform where the innovative ideas for productivity enhancement are addressed by experts, practitioners, and academicians. Before we start, I would like to thank our viewers for following us. To be informed about the upcoming P-Talks, please subscribe to our channel. You can leave your comments and questions in the chat box for us to answer them after our session. So, smart transformation in agriculture and integrative rural development are two important focus areas for APO. So, today's P-Talk will be on interactive networking in agribusiness. Interactive networking and innovative accelerator program highlight a groundbreaking digital transformation model for agri-food enterprises. This model has a different approach from the linear thinking, and it brings together producers, customers, innovators, and decision makers across the entire value chain to have higher impact solutions. And also the commercialization of innovations in agri-food sector. For today's P-Talk, we have invited Dr. Coskun Serefoglu from Turkiye, who is a senior development expert in Ankara Development Agency, to discuss this topic together. Dr. Coskun, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here us today.
Thank you very much. I am honored to be here. I would like to thank APO to give me this opportunity.
Thank you so much. So before we start our interactive talk, let me share a little of your background with our viewers. So Dr. Coskun received his bachelor's degree in agricultural economics and completed his graduate and doctorate studies in the fields of agri-environmental economics and regional growth. He worked for international projects as a project expert, coordinator, and consultant. He also worked as an intern at the European Commission, and lately he has worked in the Ministry of Agriculture and Ankara Development Agency in the position of European Union expert, development expert, and head of business development and strategy unit. Dr. Coskun is also a very passionate and proactive follower of APO activities, and he is also very active on his social media as a YouTuber on agricultural issues. So today, me and our viewers are all eager to learn from you about this topic, Dr. Coskun.
Thank you very much for your great introduction. Let me begin with the agenda of today. And firstly, I will start with some basic statistics in agricultural sector in APO member states. And following that, I will touch the food systems in Turkey and what are the main challenges of food system in Turkey. I will focus on this issue. After that, I will highlight the importance of development agencies in the regional growth. Following that, I will mention about our TAGTECH model in detail. At the end, I will suggest a kind of model for APO members.
Thank you so much, Dr. Coskun. So let's start with the general outlook of agricultural sector in APO members. Could you please share with those statistics with us for a general idea?
Yes, of course. My first figure shows the agricultural sector share, so GDP in 2021 in APO members. The yellow one is highlighted for Turkey position. And as you see in the figure, agricultural sector's shares of GDP are still high in many APO members. Turkey position just come after Japan and Republic of Korea. And the second figure is very important, and it shows the rural population. As we all know that industrialization or urbanization, rapid urbanization in every developing and developed countries, we see clearly. This figure shows the rural population in members of APO. Rural population declined sharply with the industrialization, but as seen in the figure, many member states still have predominantly rural population in their country. And the third figure is very important. It shows that the use of technology, agricultural machinery, tractors per 100 square kilometers of arable land, and the number of agricultural machinery tractors per 100 square kilometers of arable land is given in this figure. As clearly seen, Japan intensively use agricultural machinery and tractors in agriculture, but most countries cannot still use technology effectively, and this shows that the productivity level in Japan is much higher than many member states of APO.
Thank you so much. This was a good start to have the general outlook. And now I'm curious about the general food systems in your country. Like, how is it in Turkey?
Yes, let me start with a figure, and this shows the food systems in Turkey. And it was prepared for the national pathway of Turkey under the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. As you know, many countries were expected to prepare their national food systems in their countries. And this shows a whole picture of food system in Turkey. As we see in the challenging issue in Turkish food system, there is a long food value chain. And also the second one, extension problem. And after that, we see harvest and post-harvest losses in the fruit and vegetable sectors. And also we have still some productivity problems. We need to increase more productivity level of farmers, particularly traditional farmers. And also we see soil and nature degradation here, and also Turkey is one of the countries which is negatively affected by climate change. And in the right of figure, as we see that the RD education innovation is very important. We need to increase the financial literacy of the farmers. We need to develop some models for land consolidation, and also we implement some policies according to sustainable development goals. And also we need to talk new financial models, including venture capital in agri-food systems.
Thank you so much. That was also very important to explain how are the general food systems. So, and you are working in the Ankara Development Agency, which is a local party stakeholder. And I wanted to ask you, so what is the concept in Turkey? Why the Turkey chose a local government model like development agencies rather than a centralization like by the ministry or similar?
Thank you very much for this question. And let me move to development agencies. Development agencies were established in 2006 in Turkey, were inactive in 26 NAS2 regions in Turkey. Turkey is a large country, and these development agencies are public institutions that aim to accelerate regional development, ensure its sustainability, and reduce interregional and intra-regional development disparities in line with the principle and policies stipulated in national development plans and programs by developing cooperation between the public sector, private sector, and civil society organizations. The development agencies ensure proper and effective use of resources and activating local potential in the regions. Their main purpose is to use public resources in a way that can contribute to the development of the regions where they are located. They also cooperate with international organizations. I think one of the most important features of development agencies, and they are adapting the bottom-up approach, and also they are more focusing local issues, and they are making some tangible contribution to the local people in regions. And also, let me continue intra-regional differences in order to have a clear idea. And the map on the left shows intra-regional differences in Ankara region. As seen, the rural districts or outside of the center are lagging behind development. The main economy of districts located in the outside of urban area is mainly agriculture. It means that agriculture cannot make sufficient economic value, and the economy need to be diversified outside of agriculture. A country or a region dependent upon traditional agriculture is inevitably poor. And because it is poor, it spends much of its income for food. But when a country or a region develop an agricultural sector, food becomes more abundant, income rises, and less of the income of the country or a region is spent for food. The map on the right shows the primary products in those districts. This region is one of the largest utilized agricultural area in Turkey, but we need to increase the productivity in agricultural sector in order to reduce the intra-regional disparities in our region. And I will continue rural innovation roadmap, and this is very important document. And in order to implement the policies effectively, you need to have some concrete strategy document in order to go in a good way. And this shows our rural innovation roadmap. And in 2016, as Ankara Development Agency, we decided to conduct a European Union project with Hungary Innovation Agency. And Ankara region is one of the most prominent regions in Turkey in terms of technocities, organized industrial zones, and universities and human capital. In addition, it has an important potential regarding job creation ideas and practices on entrepreneurship indexes. The main approach in the rural innovation roadmap is to increase the level of development by building the actions prepared on the strengths of Ankara and transferring the acquired technological knowledge and equipment in the center to the district in the periphery of region. As you see in the right of the figure, we identify three main axes for our Ankara region, and these are agriculture and agro-based industry, rural tourism, and also social innovation, which is one of the most important part in the past policies. We see that we cannot see the social innovation, but in current policies, we always add the social innovation for the rural areas. And we identify some strategic priorities in rural innovation roadmap. One of the strategic priorities we identified in the mentioned roadmap is to realize digital transformation in rural economy, and the other one is to provide sustainability in rural areas by encouraging environmentally friendly, innovative approach. As the second document, I would like to mention your Ankara Regional Innovation Strategy. Innovation strategies are very important in European Union policies. The regional innovation strategy has been prepared according to research and innovation strategy guideline of European Union. When preparing a regional innovation strategy, our basic motives and core objectives consist of identifying areas of Ankara with or potential or for producing national and global competitive advantages, strengthening the comparative structuring in those areas through knowledge and research and development based innovative applications and technologies, persuading corporate providers of funds for designing support mechanisms supporting this area, and also some individual goals ascribed to them, contributing to better facilitation of international funds by priority areas and innovation strategies. Actually, many countries in European Union were obliged to prepare these strategies in order to benefit from cohesion funds. And in this strategy, you are prioritizing your intervening areas because you have a very limited nature resources, you have a limited financial resources. You need to use more effectively all these resources. In order to use more effectively, you need to prioritize and you need to specialize. And one of the key feature of the developed countries is specialization in industrialization, and this is very important. And in this strategy, we have identified 5 main priorities, including defense and aviation, medical devices, work and machinery sector, IT sector, and the fifth one, agri-food sector, which is considered as a strategic sector in our strategic document. And also, when we prepare these strategies, we realize that Ankara region is very strong regarding startups in Ankara region. When we were having meetings with startups, which is companies producing technologies, and we saw that Ankara region is very strong in this regard. And so we considered it as one of the prioritized areas. We have often gathered together with those firms in Ankara region in order to develop this startup ecosystem. A startup company, or simply a startup, is an entrepreneurial venture in its early stage of operations, typically aimed at resolving a real-life issue with an innovative product or service.
Thank you so much. So it was really interesting to see how development agencies do tailor-made solutions for each region's priorities and needs rather than a top-to-down approach. So thanks for sharing these insights. And my other question is, if we come to this, your unique model, interactive networking, I'm curious about how does your model and your innovative accelerator program support these regional innovation plans, how they are integrated?
Let me continue with interactive networking approach. And this interactive networking approach is based on strengthening linkages among research, education, and extension. And the second one, it is very important. We are talking about bottom-up approach, and we see in many countries top-down approaches. And the bottom-up approach is very important if you have lagging behind regions in development. And we are strengthening the position of bottom-up approach. And the third one, in the past policies, we see in many countries linear models were implemented in many countries for development efforts. And instead of linear models, we are actually shifting to interactive regional models. And what we aim to implement this model, we aim to strengthen rural-urban linkages. The gap in between urban and rural areas is opening with rapid urbanization in many countries. This model both support the farmers in the rural areas and consumers in the urban areas. A two-way process is employed in our model. The needs not only comes from farmers or traditional industrialists, but the technology producers can apply to our program to validate and test their products. We try to encourage the startup ecosystem and also make the necessary connections with relevant financial tools. For example, we are organizing some awareness raising events on venture capital in agri-food sector. We do a kind of brokering, networking development in Ankara region. One of the most distinguishing part of this model is the dynamic process, which can make a snap decision rather than a static process. Each phase is conducted under the control of agency. This is the most important feature of the agency. And the process could be more than one process or phases, because in many programs it is generally annual programs. And but if we are talking about agriculture, we need to extend the time limit, not annually, maybe multi-annual programs are needed for agricultural growth. And the TAGTECH model means that entrepreneurship and innovation in agri-food sector in Ankara region. And we actually established a platform which consists of an accelerator program, urban agriculture program, and agri-food children program. In my speech, of course, today I will focus on Agri-Food Accelerator program, which contains an interactive networking model. And there is a justification, of course, our model, and we need to put our model in a theoretical framework. When we look at agricultural growth theories, there are three theories come forward in our model. One of them is diffuse existing knowledge, and the second one induce technical knowledge, and the third one develop high pay inputs. What determines whether technologies are developed that are suitable for technologies or only for some of the farmers? Farmers demand new technologies not only from private input suppliers, but from the public research institution as well. It contributes to the development of research system by validating and testing the products or new developed crops by diffusing existing knowledge. And also, improved seeds and fertilizers tend to save land and use labor force more intensively. The third one, develop high pay inputs, and which are associated with the mostly land productivity by using fertilizer varieties of the irrigation when we consider the climate change in the last decades. When we look at the assumption, as every model, economic model, we have also some assumptions to implement the models. And if the member states in APO would like to implement this model, and they need to check these issues. For example, we expect imperfect market conditions and lower average yields of traditional farmers, lack of innovation capabilities of traditional food farms, agricultural machineries. The grant systems need to be also complementary. In a country. In many developing countries, the share of innovation in agri-food sector is insufficient according to the World Bank and OECD statistics. Under the spiral triangle, research, education, and innovation, there could be some coordination problems or each element may not support with each other. And with this model, we are trying to strengthen the position of each element. And also, we are creating some strong linkages, research, innovation, and education. And there is a workflow of interactive networking approach. This is the TAGTECH model. And in 10 steps, we are targeting in the internationalization. I'm just focusing some important elements. The first one, identification of needs and priorities. And if you are working in a developing country, in a developing agriculture, if you work with the traditional farmers, traditional food firms, and you need to identify their exact needs and prioritize. Because if you pull some policies from the headquarters, these policies are not implemented effectively in the regions because it doesn't meet the exact needs of the traditional farmers, people, firms. And there is a problem, traditional farmers and traditional food industries. The question in here, do they really know they prioritize our needs? The answer, they need help for identification their needs and prioritize. And who will help? The interface institution need to be established to implement these policies like regional development agencies. Our methodology is based on a mentors, which are allocated through the program. And we allocate the best mentors for the traditional farmers and food companies. There is also some trainings, design thinking trainings, workshops for applicants. And we generally give these trainings for startups and firms. And also, if necessary, we also give this training to the traditional farmers before preparing their projects, their ideas. And the second one, mentoring process, and which is one of the most essential part, I think. There is a problem in developing countries. There is insufficient technical advice for traditional farmers if you compare it with the developed countries. The question, what kind of model is needed to handle to solve the chronic problems of agriculture? And the answer, we are trying to find the best product and specialists from university and research institutions. Our methodology is based on tailor-made trainings and practices in farmer fields. In general, farmers are gathered together in a class or in some hall to get some trainings. But when we look at the situation of the farmers, particularly traditional farmers, they are fed up with this kind of trainings. We need to change the methodology of the trainings, and we need to go to farmer fields and work with them closely in coordination. And also we need to demonstrate what we are developing with the farmers in farmer fields. And this is one of the most important area we are trying to develop. And the third one, internationalization. That's very important. And when we look at the models, they are generally kept at local level. And in order to make it sustainable, we need to make it internationalized. And the problem, vicious circle, and they are staying local, most of the models in developing countries. And question, what kind of model need to be set up? Answer, joint collaboration among agri-food technology hubs. We see in United States and also particularly in European Union countries, there are many good joint collaboration events. And so we can sign protocols among relevant institutions and call for proposal for agri-food startups on the basis of identified priorities and needs. And also we can call for proposal among the member states, which I will mention in detail at the end of my slides. And with TAGTECH model, there are two main instruments. One of them is technological integration. The second one, agricultural extension. Under the technology integration, the linear models have begun to give way to interactive networking model. We need to have some new interfaces at regional scales, such as development agencies. The model is in the middle of bottom-up and top-down approach. I'm not defending totally bottom-up approach or top-down approach. I'm saying that we are encouraging a position in the middle of bottom-up and top-down approach. With the Industry 4.0, we are now diffusing smart agricultural solution. Through this model, we focus on problems, demand, and market focus. Also, we encourage startups to work together under the same problems, because we are talking about Industry 4.0, Agri 4.0. When we consider the small scale of startups, we need to make them work together for the same problems, because every startups could do something of the same problem. And our model therefore propose a shift from a sectoral, top-down, and one-size-fits-all approach to one that is a multi-sectoral, bottom-up, and a context-specific model. And when we compare the past and current situation, we see that we are focusing more on bottom-up approach. And in this figure, I would like to show where we are intervening in the technological readiness level, and which is adapted by TÜBİTAK, this figure. And our model is just focusing from TRL level 4 until 7, which means that until commercialization. And when we look at the ecosystem, we see that many startups, many research institutions develop some prototypes, but most prototypes are on the shelf to be waiting to be commercialized. They cannot match with the right actors in the ecosystem. For example, if a startup develop a prototype for livestock sector, the startup need to match with a farm, with a right farm, but it is very difficult to be accepted by farm because they need to use time, they need to use their fields, and if they are not successful, and it would not be placeable by farmer or by companies. And in this regard, we are playing an interface role, and we are saying that we can help your prototype to be validated and to be tested in farmers or food firms. Let me move a slide, and this is done by me for the spatial development expert. I ask a simple question. Which agricultural factors of production are primarily responsible for the large differences among countries in the success of the agricultural sector in contributing to economic growth? And 64% of the experts indicated differences in the capabilities of farmers is very important for the agricultural development. And this has been actually underlined by Nobel winning economist Theodore Schultz in 1960s. There is no doubt that the quality of material agricultural factors in Japan is far better than used in other Asian countries. But more important still are the high level of farming skills and the amount of schooling that our farm people of, for example, Japan have acquired compared to the low level skills and general illiteracy that still prevail in many developing countries. We are, as a development agency, we play a catalytic role, and there is a traditional farmer. There are traditional food companies, and also there are traditional agricultural machinery firms. And it is not an easy task to coordinate all these players in the ecosystems. And also there are some new players in the ecosystem like startups. And we are trying to mobilize all these elements to act together in order to develop the ecosystems. In our model, there are some eligible sectors and costs. We are saying that agricultural and food sector, medical plants and drug, agricultural equipment and machinery. When we look at the eligible costs, we see laboratory use, testing field, station, testing, soil analysis, transportation, mentoring, and training. The ideal budget to be allocated for each matching should be not more than 20,000 US dollars or less than 7,000 US dollars. We have also identified prioritized areas for our region, and we conducted some surveys with private sector, with public sector, and with NGOs, and we identified some prioritized areas for our region, and this could change region by region, country by country, of course.
Thank you so much. So, Dr. Coskun, this model seems filling a big gap between the innovators and the farmers, the producers. So, this, I think, is a very groundbreaking model. To use our time effectively, I would like to ask about some case studies that you have done so far. And,
yes, let me share our case studies, and in order to understand clearly our models, I put some case studies. And for example, in this case study, a farmer applied to Ankara Development Agency. He said that I need to grow medicinal plants scientifically, and also I would like to commercialize my products, medicinal plants in the industry sector. And then we received his application, and also we match these farmers with the pharmacy, a professor from pharmacy faculty, a professor from field plants in the agricultural faculty, and we work together with these farmers, and we search actually and found the best resources in our region for this matching. First, we allocated a mentor from soil department to test soil and water results of the fields. The second mentor was allocated from the Department of Crop Sciences, taught him how to produce medicinal plants according to standards that pharmacy sector needs. At the second mentor from pharmacy department tested the harvested crops in the laboratory environment, and after that the applicant started a business to extract the oils from medicinal plants thanks to our program. And also, we sometimes there is a matching process. We bring together all actors from universities, from private companies, from food companies, and we clearly talk the details of the matching with the relevant actors. And if they are okay, and we just start to implement our model. And we are also meeting with academicians from universities in order to find the right specialize in products in our model. And also, we sometimes match for example, poultry firm with some mentors from a veterinary faculty, and they work together. And for example, we gave 66 hours for mentoring for this company. At the end of the day, we saw that performance losses reduced to a certain extent after the field testing and mentoring program implemented. And this is another matching, and these farmers need to develop some plant breeding, and we developed some plant varieties for these farmers for the lettuce and salad with the coordination from with the agriculture faculty. And this is the result of our case study. And let me finish with the lessons learned. When we have been using this model actually for 2 years, and what we have learned so far, bottom-up approach is very important when we consider the agricultural extension, insufficient agricultural extension. And we are just more focusing on sustainability of soil and marketing in traditional farms. It is very important because we need to protect the soil and soil health. And this is very important, and we are going to more focus on soil health in the following years. And the third one, multidisciplinary. And this is very important. And in every country, some sectors are better off, some sectors are worse off. And the most important thing is to transfer the knowledge in the advanced technology to the traditional sector. And also there is a key issue, complementarity. And sometimes you see that there are some funds given by national and international organizations, and these funds need to be complementary in order to use effectively the financial resources. And firms, farmers, public institutions shall be keen on cooperation. Cooperation is very essential, and they need to cooperate in order to succeed. And technological solutions need to come out from this prioritized needs, strengthening or setting up interfaces such as regional development agencies. And also we need to more talk about the new financial tools like venture capital, business angels in agricultural sectors like other sectors. So we are emphasizing agricultural extension regarding traditional farmers. Calculating opportunity cost is very important for developing countries. If they have some limited financial resources, they need to calculate the exact opportunity cost for their countries, and this cost might be higher most of the time. This is very important, I think. Creating farmer clusters for validation, particularly for traditional farmers. And there are some, of course, some cooperation, agricultural cooperatives would play an important role in agricultural growth, but creating farmer clusters with industry, food industry, and also including some staffs from universities is very important. And we are encouraging startups to work together because they work individually. They can just succeed at just small part of the products, but if they work together, and they might have concrete solutions for the chronic problems of agriculture.
Thank you so much, Dr. Coskun. These case studies also helped us to understand the model better, and you seem quite close to the producers, like hands-on applications. And so in the last part of our discussion, I was curious about this model is only unique to Turkey, or were you inspired by other models in the world?
Thank you very much, Ms. Gözde. And this model actually is specifically designed for our regional standards, and also we took some examples from European Union countries, for example, H-Farm or Terra program in United States as one of the best examples for our model. But in our model, we see that this model is specifically designed for our regional needs, and it's a kind of hybrid approach, we can say.
Yes, I understand. Thank you so much. So, and finally, do you have any suggestion or like a possible implementation model for the Asia Pacific countries and APO member countries?
Can I continue with my slide? Yeah.
Sure.
And this model suggestions for APO members. I think when we look at the European Union countries, we see that European Union at the moment implementing the AKI systems like this agricultural knowledge and innovation systems model, and they are stimulating more component advice and innovation support. But in our model, what I would like to suggest for APO members, the members can start to prioritize their subdomains in agri-food sector through innovation strategies. The members can allocate flexible institutions as an interface institution like development agencies in Turkey. The willingness members together can design a tailor-made program for technology firms. The members can create a database for startups working in agri-food sector. And in this model, there could be some probable match of the program. And this could be a farmer mentor, advisor mentor, farmer startups, farmer, food company startup, food company mentor, farmer startup mentor, food company startup mentor. And I think the member states under the maybe coordination APO secretariat, there could be some call for proposal among member states, and the startups in the member states can apply this competition, and they can transfer their knowledge to other member states in order to increase the ecosystem in APO members. And also there are two ways, of course. You can you can either develop some technologies and knowledge system in a member state. Also, the second alternative is to transfer the agricultural knowledge and technologies from an advanced country to developing countries through this model.
Thank you so much. So you have shared with us a very brief video before, so we would like to show to our viewers now about like clearly more understand. If you can explain us a bit through this video.
Thank you very much. And in this video, which was prepared for our model, and we are moving from farmer concept to rural entrepreneur concept, from traditional agriculture to sustainable agriculture. We design traditional local products of the agriculture and food sector by supporting the production and marketing process with up-to-date technologies. Many different areas with TAGTECH will turn into economic opportunities on the basis of environmental and social sustainability by considering food security and food safety. There are three main programs in our program, and the first one, actually, we are encouraging the TAG accelerator program in the first element. We aim to commercialize up-to-date technologies in the agricultural and food industries. We encourage development of technologies. Three key words actually sum up our program. These are try, validate, and disseminate. We switch to smart agriculture with today rising technologies. We support monitoring farmers' soil with drones and sensors and track plant growth. We also aim to make farmers' soil fertile. The second program, Tag Urban. Our aim is to develop urban agriculture to find solutions to production continuity, to integrate the technology in the urban areas with the agriculture to create agricultural solidarity networks and neighborhood and community scale, and to implement urban agricultural practices. TAG Urban offers all trainings from permaculture to rain harvesting. This third one, TAG Children. It is not only bring the seed together with soil, but also we bring the present to the future. We bring health generations together and sustainable life, our future with agriculture and nature. In this framework, we bring our children together with trainings, workshop, field visit, and competitions, and enable them to grow up with soil, agriculture, and nature.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Coskun, it was really useful to learn about the interactive networking model and all the case studies, and especially your model for APO members. So we are looking forward to Turkey's leadership to start such an initiative to share this model with the APO members. And we hope also our audience will benefit from this approach. And I would like to now ask you small questions in our Q&A session. And yes. So first, I'm curious, you mentioned about the local stakeholder engagement, like why there is development agencies in Turkey. And how do you interact with the central government, like you are with the producers, you're at the regional government level, and there is the government. So how do you manage these relationships?
Thank you very much for your great question. And of course, we are established at regional level, and we are trying to find some solutions at the regional level to the chronic problems of agriculture. And we are working in close cooperation, of course, with some government institutions like Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Science and Technology, Ministry of Culture, etc. And we are playing actually an interface role in the economic growth, and we sometimes gather all the actors together under the same table from the institutions, from headquarters, from institutions, from at district level, and we are actually prepare our regional development plan and regional innovation strategies in accordance with national plans, and we are stick to national plans, of course, but at regional level there is a prioritization, and also there is a specialization. And when we talk about, for example, agricultural sector, and when we develop a model, and we always invite all the actors in the ecosystems, from the headquarters, from the local districts, from the farmers unions, or from food companies, in order to talk clearly the exact problems of our region.
Thank you so much. My second question is, you mentioned about that is a different model than the traditional rural development approaches. So what makes the biggest, striking difference between the traditional approach and the interactive model?
Thank you very much for these good questions. As you know, every economy has an agriculture and non-agricultural sector. And one of the most important aspects of development is the technological and social changing, but intimate relation between agriculture and industry is quite important. In traditional model, interlinkages between agriculture and industry is so weak. Increasing agricultural productivity makes important contributions to general economic development. But low level of productivity in agricultural sector in general economic development. And we are trying to develop some new models rather than just implementing traditional models like linear models at regional level, because the past policies showed us the linear models have not been implemented at the regional level, and they haven't found effective solutions for the chronic problems of agricultural sector in lagging behind regions. And we are trying to develop some new initiatives and new models to solve these chronic problems in agricultural sector. And this model, I think, could be extended to other regions or other developing countries, because we clearly see that from developing countries, traditional approaches, traditional models are always implemented with different actors. And we always talk about traditional farmers. And when we talk about economic growth, and we are always saying that, okay, traditional farmers, that's why we are lagging behind from development. But this is not reflecting the reality. The reality is the changed mindset of the planners, all actors in the ecosystems, and by changing the model.
Thank you so much. Specifically the model, when you connect these three sides, and you mentioned about validation of these prototypes and testing. After you do this and you see this product can be commercialized, how do your model support these prototypes to be commercialized?
Thank you very much for this question. Our model is a kind of complementary model, as I said before, among the financial supports given from different agencies. We know that there are many prototypes which are funded by different agencies remain on the shelves without commercialization. In some cases, farmers or traditional food companies do not have an opportunity to keep up in touch with startups and research institutions, sometimes vice versa. Although we just focus on validation and testing in this model, we are also working in different models for the commercialization. For example, the successful validated prototypes could go commercialization with the right financial tools that are given by current supports. We are also at the regional level increasing awareness level about the new financial tools, including venture capital in agriculture in our region. I personally believe that venture capital funds could be more effective with the technological change for traditional farmers and agri-food firms. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So my last question, Dr. Coskun, like very shortly, we know you mentioned about the challenges in the value chain for agribusinesses. So do you think your model can shorten this process in the value chain?
Thank you very much again for this question. I think agri-food value chain is one of the most challenging issues in developing countries or in food systems. And to shorten agri-food value chain is one of the priorities of every national plan or regional plan. But in practice, we see that it is not quite easy to challenge with this main problem. My answer for our model will be yes. The shortening food value chain is one of the most challenging issue in our region as well. We see that agri-food value chain in developing and less developed countries is too long. Intermediaries in this value chain have a large share in the cake. By working startups, we can create effective solutions for shortening the value chain by including all actors getting involved. We are also increasing consumer awareness about the food security problem and also food security problem actually that farmers encounter. With this model, we are aiming to strengthen. We are aiming to strengthen the local networks and the structure of agricultural cooperatives. And the more we are developing the structural changes in agricultural cooperatives, and also the more we work together with agricultural cooperatives and the actors, the more we will be very successful to shorten the agri-food value chain.
Thank you very much for your presentation and your answers, Dr. Coskun. We have a question from our viewer, Asai Tambi. He asked, what kind of significant policies required to adapt interactive model from traditional one because each country has priority based on their own GDP and their agricultural growth?
Thank you very much for this brilliant question. And of course, we need to have some policies at regional level to adopt the interactive model. And in many developing countries, we see that I showed from the statistics, the agricultural share of GDP in many developing countries are still high. And we need to decrease by increasing the productivity, including adopting technology in those countries. And we see that there are a lack of strategies in developing countries. We firstly need to prepare well-prepared strategies committed by HIKI at regional level with the participation of all actors. And this is the first priority issue. The second one, there could be some interfaces like development agencies in these countries, because we see that in our country, there are some central organizations and they are just doing their task perfectly. But there are always some lack of coordination among institutions. And we need to increase, we need to strengthen the interlinkages among the institutions in order to implement this model in developing countries. So the significant policy could be actually bottom-up approach should be adopted by regional authorities as well as the central authorities. And this means that this is a kind of inclusive policy, and you need to include all actors in the systems. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Coskun. You joined us today, and it was a very pleasant talk. And I'm sure that our viewers also enjoyed and benefited from your presentation. And I would like to also thank our viewers once again and hope that you will continue watching APOP Talks. So see you in the next P Talk, and goodbye for now.
Thank you very much.